Ladies and gentlemen, Dark Haruto is here, and this means that this calls for the one and only Should You Summon. And this summon is pretty spicy. Not only do we have one of the most sought after units in Grand Summoner's history, we also have a pretty okay banner. Well, I'm lying. His banner is not that good at all. But, you know, we're not going to worry about that right now. So let's see if Dark Haruto is worth your crystals or not. This banner will be featuring Dark Haruto, Ash, Genzo, and Sandstone. Only 4 units, which means that you have a 1 in 4 chance if you get a banner unit for it to be Dark Haruto, which is pretty solid. But let's talk about all these units, shall we? So first and foremost, let's look at Dark Haruto. Dark Haruto is the newest Phantom Sniper unit coming to the game. Not only is he the newest Phantom Sniper unit, he's also the newest Phantom Bullet unit. Just like Simon, he has his own as well. If we pull up his stats on screen, as you can see here, you can see that he has all magic slots and he has a pretty loaded damage buffing kit. His skill is able to inflict a bleed. This is very similar to Luan. This also has the same amount of stacks, so you can only get up to 3. Every single time you use a skill, you'll be able to have a chance of inflicting this, and overall, it's the usual stuff you can expect from bleed. He has his art, which is buffing up his own arts by 20, and then for 15 seconds, you increase everybody else's skill CT recovery by 150%. We have his true art, which is able to buff up everybody's crit damage by 100%, and it has a massive multiplier, as you see here, 50,000. His Phantom Bullet can be activated instead of his true art, and his Phantom Bullet can be activated 3 times in a quest. This thing deals a massive 70,000% dark damage magic, and then for 60 seconds, you reduce the enemy's dark resist by 50%. As for his passives, he's able to give himself 100% crit rate when the enemy has 3 stacks of bleed. He'll also increase damage against enemies under 30% HP by 80%. When near death, he increases his own art gauge by 1 per second. And since we're on the topic of him, let's also bring up the true weapon real quick. His true weapon will be able to inflict magic resist down based on if the enemy has 1 stack of bleed, which is pretty nice, and its passive is when equipped by Dark Haruto, you increase your own attack by 30% and art gauge by 3 per second. Now, Dark Haruto overall is, I don't know, he's kind of a weirder unit, I want to say. He's like a nuking support unit, but also himself is a nuker. Like, he's just meant to buff up everybody's damage and kind of like make it more of a team effort compared to someone like Simon, where Simon is kind of like Mr. Solo Dolo. Shout out Kid Cudi. Where Simon can just pop his Phantom Bullet, you load him up with as much damage buffs as you can, and then boom, he's probably going to one-shot anything in front of him. However, Dark Haruto is a little bit different. For one, Dark Haruto is more of a critical damage dealer. He doesn't have 100% defense ignore. And I don't want to say he's a stacking unit, but he has a little bit of like some gimmicks to him to where like, you want 100% crit rate, but let's say you don't want to use like true EX gate, or you don't want to use 100% crit buffer on your team. He needs to stack up at least 3 different procs of bleed in order for you to get 100% crit rate against the boss that you're fighting. So I think Dark Haruto is actually going to be a great addition to nuking and stuff like that. I don't think he's going to be better than Simon by any means, but I think he's going to definitely have some synergies with very specific comps, and if you build nuke teams around him, you're just going to be vibing with them as well. Another thing to point out too, the fact that he has a dark resist down for 60 seconds is pretty massive as well, because you could just use him as a pseudo debuffer to an extent to just buff up your damage, where maybe you're using like, I don't know, Juno on your team, you throw Dark Haruto on there, and you pop his Phantom Bullet, and then now Juno has 50% dark resist down from a Phantom Bullet, and then you can also, you know, stack that dark resist with other equipment as well, which I guess you could say the same thing for Simon. If you want to use Dark Haruto and Simon together, you could use Dark Haruto's Phantom Bullet, so Simon has like an additional 50% dark resist down, but Simon doesn't really need that, let's be honest. That team that you usually run him on has multiple ways of reducing dark resist. So yeah, I think Dark Haruto is really interesting, but I don't think he's necessary by any means. Great unit though. He's definitely gonna be one of the best attackers in the game, and I think that this is one of those units where we're gonna have to see kind of how the meta shapes after he releases to really determine how good he is and what his impact will be on the meta. Moving on to the next units on the banner, of course, we have Ash. Now, Ash is pretty interesting because some people still use this character. I think that if you use him, you're not going to be using him for damage. You're going to be using him more so for his debuffs and like what he applies, which is he's able to steal enemies' ult gauge, or art gauge, let me say. Not only is he able to steal enemy art gauge, he's also is able to slow down the enemy and reduce the enemy's damage resist as well. He has a blind in his kit too, which is nice, but as you guys know, against like harder fights, you're not going to be inflicting blind really at all. I think that Ash is still great whenever you need him, but you don't always need him. Next is the boy Genzo, and unfortunately Genzo, I'm gonna be honest with you, we need the new generation Genzo to come out, because this Genzo I don't think is that great anymore. I mean, we just have way too many good options. Also, he's like 100% defense ignore unit, and he's a solo 100% defense ignore, meaning that he only gives it to himself. And nowadays we have characters that give 100% defense ignore to everybody, like Natsu or Daki. So yeah, unfortunately, Genzo, kinda whatever. It's gonna be the girl Sandstone. Sandstone's still great. One of the best tank units in the entire game. There's really nothing else to say about this girl. If you need to tank something, you bring Sandstone. And I think that it's not too great that she's on this banner because she's actually in the unit choice pool. Why would I summon on this banner to get Sandstone whenever I could just get it for free? So we move on to the verdict of this banner. Should you summon or should you not? And here's what I'm gonna tell you guys, okay? Unless you are someone who has been waiting for Dark Haruto for the longest time and you really, really want him, I would say that you could maybe do your guaranteed on this banner and then possibly skip. The reason why I say that is for one, because we're getting closer and closer to the eventual Emperor release. So a lot of people should be probably saving up for him because I'm just going to make a crazy prediction here and say the Emperor is probably coming around Christmas time. By the way, that's just a prediction. You know, that's not like set in stone. That's not confirmed. Just a prediction that I have. I think that you would be better off waiting for an eventual Phantom Sniper's banner, which will be coming at some point once, you know, the entire Phantom Sniper saga is over or, you know, it's starting to hit the end. It'll probably come back and you'll have a legendary Phantom Sniper banner. So if you want to be smart about it, I would say wait. But if you can't wait, man, hey, I understand, you know, the hype gets to people. Do your multis. Wish you the best of luck. Hope you can get it. But for everybody else, I think that you can kind of skip this banner. It's whatever. Even for new players, I would say, you know, one multi and that's it. That's how I feel about the Dark Haruto banner. Tell me down below if you're going to be summoning or not, if you're going to be skipping. As for me, you know, I'm debating myself if I want to go in with this banner, if I want to summon it all, but I think that I might skip myself just because, I mean, I already have everybody, so it's kind of like very ugh. Thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy OP. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more, and check out these videos popping up on your screen right now. Great content, guarantee you'll love them. And oh yeah, before you leave, don't forget to drink water.